Hello, everyone. Are you ready? Are you ready for our lesson 5 today? Okay, today we are going to learn something about geometry. And for such topic, actually, we learned it before as well when we were preparing for SASMO. I hope you still remember that. Okay. Yeah, again, everyone, please get ready a piece of blank paper as well as your pencil, because later we are going to do some calculation as well. Okay. Yeah. By the way, how's your SASMO? Do you all receive your result? Okay. Okay, so here let's have a look. The topic is about the perimeter and the area. And here let's have a look. This is also lesson 5 for our first round of short-term course. And on this Friday, Teacher Mill will help you to do a whole revision. Okay? Good, Silver. Okay. Firstly, let me check. Can you hear me clearly? Yes or no? Yes or no? Can you hear me clearly? Yes, right? Okay, good. Now let's have a look. We start from the concept. What is the meaning of perimeter? We also learned that before. Well, basically you need to know how to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle and a square. So you can see that in a rectangle, for the two opposite sides, they are totally equal to each other. And for the longer one, we call it as length. And for the shorter ones, we call them as the breadth. So do remember that the opposite sides are always equal to each other. This is very, very important when you try to figure out the perimeter or the area. And in a square, you can see that since all the sides are equal, so as long as you can figure out one of them, actually you can figure out the total length of a square. And then back to the conception. Here, perimeter is the total length of all sides around an enclosed 2D shape. So for example, if I just draw something like this, okay, can we say that there is a perimeter of the figure? No, okay? You need to make sure that it is an enclosed 2D shape. And in the future, we are going to learn something more like the trapezium or triangles. So again, remember that all of them are enclosed 2D shape. Yes. Okay, and then following this, also here, pay attention to two formulas. The perimeter of rectangle is bracket length plus breadth, and then multiply by 2. Then what about the perimeter of a square? That is the length times 4, since all sides are equal. Now, following this, let's do a warm-up question. Okay, everyone, you can see this is a figure 1. And what is the perimeter of the rectangle? Quickly, have a try. Yeah, you just type your answer in the chat box. What is the perimeter of the rectangle here? What is it? Okay, good. So you can see that here. Perimeter of rectangle, that is the bracket, length plus breadth, and then times 2. So here, let's turn that into the equation. That is a bracket. Yes, 6 plus 3, and then bracket times 2. Do remember that when you write down the equation, you must add the brackets, okay? Must add the brackets. Yeah. And then following this, you see that this is 18. The first one is super easy, right? Okay, good. And then for the second one, the figure 2 is a square. So what is the perimeter here? Have a try. What is it? Yes, excellent. So that is super easy, right? Okay, since we already know that the side length is 5 meters, so what is the total length? Of course, if you are a P1 student, you can do something like a 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, but I believe that most of you are P3 students, right? So here, let's turn it into multiplication. Length times 4. So here we can get 5 times 4. The answer should be 20 meters. Okay, super easy, right? Okay, and actually here you can see that this is very, very basic. And then let's move on to some advanced methods. What is perimeter of the following shape here? Now you see that this figure is irregular. So how can we turn that into a regular shape? Do you still remember that the method I introduced to you last time? I'm not sure that how many of you will still remember that? What is the method? What is the name of the method? Okay, yeah, this is there you can see that actually the perimeter of the following shape is exactly equal to the perimeter of a rectangle. So here, let's turn that into a rectangle, which is very basic. Now we know that it is still length plus breadth and then times 2. So here, what is the equation? 5 plus 9 and then times 2, that is 28, okay? So here, everyone, if you have a notebook, maybe you can take some notes. This is for the push-out method in staircase shape. What is the staircase shape? That is kind of like the L shape, okay? L shape, staircase shape. Because later I will show you another shape. Yes, this is the first one. And then following this, let's have a look. This is an example. Now, I think if you can understand the warm-up question clearly, this one is also very easy for you. Here, maybe I give you 20 seconds. Have a try. What is the perimeter of the following figure? What is it? Wow, so fast. I think maybe you just use 10 seconds, right? Okay. Well done, well done. Wow, I see. Good job. So here, everyone, you see that do we still need to consider what is the side length of this part? What is the length of this part? What about the length of this part, this part, this part? Okay, so actually you see you so much, right? So what should I do? Again, let's try to push them out. So here, push all the horizontal lines to the top. And then what about the vertical lines? So here, let's push them to the side. 1, and then 2, and then 3. Okay, so you see that again, it is super easy. Now you can see that here, I just turned the irregular shape into a rectangle. And what is the formula of the perimeter of a rectangle? Again, that is the length plus breadth and then times 2. So here, let's turn that into 5 plus 4 bracket times 2. The answer is 18. Super easy, right? Okay, good. Now let's move on to a let's practice. Well, this shape is even more complete, right? Complex, right? So here, have a try. But actually, you see the method is still the push-out method. Okay, everyone have a try. Think about it. What is the length and what is the breadth of the bigger rectangle? Okay, have a try. Yes, I only give you 20 seconds. And no calculator is allowed. Okay, no calculator is allowed. 34, are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, good. Easy, right? Okay. Now you see that what is the length of the finger? So actually here, we can just push all the horizontal lines to the top or to the bottom, right? So here I can get 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 9, okay? And then following this, what about the breadth of the rectangle? Actually, you see that it is exactly 8. So now following this, we can get the perimeter of the figure is 8 plus 9 bracket and then times 2. The answer should be 34. Yes, super easy. So this is for the first one. And then let's have a look. What about here? I try to combine so many rectangles or squares together. And how can we figure out the perimeter of the whole figure? So firstly, look, the figure below is made up of 3 squares, A, B, and C. The perimeter of square A is 28 centimeter. What is the perimeter of the figure? So firstly, everyone, could you please tell me which part will be the perimeter of the figure? Do we need to care about the lines in the middle? Here, let me draw it in red. Do we need to consider these 2 red parts? Yes or no? No, right? Good job. So what is the meaning of perimeter? That is for the outline. Outline. So for all the sides in the middle, actually you just cover them, you just ignore them, okay? And then following this, think about it. Here, since perimeter of square A is 28 centimeter, so what about the side length of A? What is the side length? What is the side length? Okay, what should I do? Yeah, this is kind of like to think backwards, right? So here we have 28 divided by 4. That is 7 centimeter. Good job. And then following this, what are the side length of B? Okay, have a try. If you already know that A got 7 centimeter as the side length, then what about the B? What about the B? Correct. That is minus 2, right? So you can see that the square B is just 2 centimeter shorter than A. So here we can get 7 minus 2, which is 5. And then following this, what about the C? What about C? Correct. Again, you can see that the square C is 2 centimeter shorter than square B. So here we get 5 minus 2. That is 3. So following this, actually we can try to label. This is 5. And then this is, 7, 5, and 3. Then following this, think about it. What is the total length of the figure? Okay, again, have a try. Yes? If you know that it is 7, it is 5, it is 3, then how can we figure out the total perimeter? What is it? Yes, the length is 15. And then what about the breadth? Good job, push out, okay? So here, let's have a look. Actually, again, we can just push them out. So in this way, what can we get? Again, the perimeter of the figure is exactly equal to the perimeter of a big rectangle. So following this, what is the length? We know that it should be 7 plus 5 plus 3, which is 15 centimeter. And what about the width? The width is exactly the side length of square A, right? So here we can write it as 7 centimeter. Then altogether, again, back to the formula. That is 15 plus 7, and then times 2 equals to 44 centimeter. Yes. Okay, let me check how many of you answer it correctly by yourself. If you answer it correctly, please share a thumb up with your emoji, okay? Let me check. How many of you answer it correctly? Yeah. How many of you get to 44 by yourself? Wow, well done. Is this question hard for you? Not that hard, right? Okay, great. Good job. So here you see that when it comes to the figures combined with some smaller rectangles or squares, actually the length you need to figure out and then add them together. And for the breadth, sometimes it is exactly the side length of the bigger figure, okay? Now, let's follow this here. Example 3. So what is the difference between this figure and all the previous figures? Now you see that again, the plan of a park is shown in the figure below. Find the perimeter of the park. Well, again, we already know that we can try to push out some sides, right? So here, let's try to push them first. We can get the length of rectangle is 20 plus 6. So here, I push it up. And following this also, what can we get? The width of rectangle is exactly 20 meters. So here, you can just see it on the right side. Then following this, can we just say that, okay, I know the perimeter is 26 plus 20 times 2. Then it is 92 meters. Am I correct? Is this my final answer? Think about it. Is this the final answer? Why not? Why not? So what should the correct answer be? Yeah, you know that actually this is kind of like a common mistake. Yeah, many students just stop here. Okay, my final answer is 92 meters. Why not? So actually you see again, when it comes to the perimeter, you need to figure out all the length outside, right? So here, actually you cannot just stop at 92. Why? For 92 meters, it is perimeter of the rectangle. But when it comes to perimeter of the figure, you see that there are some vertical lines here. Okay, let me highlight 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's based on 92 meters, you must add 4 more 5 meters. So what is the final answer? It should be 92 and then plus 4 times 5. So the final answer should be 112 meters. Okay? So this is the second type of the question. This is for the trap shape. So when it comes to the trap shape, you must consider the depth of the trap. So that is for all the vertical lines in the middle. Do remember to add them back in the end. Okay? Yes. Any question now? So basically, you see that for the push-out method, there are 2 different types. The first type is staircase, right? Staircase shape, just the kind of like the L shape, L shape, L shape. And for the second type, that is for the trap shape. When it comes to the trap shape, you must consider the lines in the middle. Okay? Now, following this, let's move on to the area. When it comes to the area, again, firstly, you need to be clear about the meaning of area. Area is the total space taken up by a flat surface or shape of an object. So again, you need to memorize the formula related to the area of a rectangle and the area of a square. When it comes to the area of a rectangle, that is length times breadth. So if you just multiply these 2 parts together, you will figure out the total space taken up by a rectangle. And what about the formula of the area of a square? That is the side length times side length. Because in a square, you will see that all the sides are equal. That is the length equals to breadth. So we just call it as side length multiplied by side length. Okay, and then following this, let me show you some easy question. The area of a rectangle is 40 centimeters square. Given that the length is 8 centimeters, so what about the breadth? Can you have a try? What is it? If the area is 40, yes, if the area is 40, the length is 8, then what about the breadth? Good job. How do we get 5? That is the total divided by length, right? Okay, good. So again, we need to back to the formula. If we know that altogether, it is 40, and then the length is 8. So you can think about it. 8 times what? That is 40. So think backwards, turn that into division. 40 divided by 8, then you will get 5. Okay, and then what about the second one? Now, if I just tell you the area of a rectangle is 48 centimeters square, given that the breadth is 4 centimeters, then the length is, what is it? Wow, so fast. Correct. So again, you will see it should be 48 and then divided by 4. 48 divided by 4, that is 12. So for the second one, that is 12 centimeters. Easy, right? Okay, this is just for the rectangle. And next one, what about the square? The area of a square is 81 centimeters square. The length of each side is, can we say that, okay, it is 81 divided by 4. And then 81 is not divisible by 4, right? So what should I do? How can we figure out the side length? Excellent. So actually, you are looking for the number which multiply by 8 itself. Then you will get 81, right? So pay attention to this square number. 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, until 9 times 9. Then you will get 81. So here, we can figure out the side length should be 9. 9 times 9, that is 81. Okay, here I have a bonus question for you. Okay, what about if now I change it into 121 centimeters square. So could you please tell me what is the side length? If the area is 121 centimeters square, then what about the side length? Excellent, that is 11. Okay, well done. So next one, what about if I turn that into 144 centimeters square, then what is the side length? What is it? If it is 144, yes, good job. That is 12. Yes, okay, good. So this is very basic. And then let's move on to the first example in area part. Now, following this, everyone, maybe I give you 10 seconds. Try to type your answer of these two parts in the chat box, okay? So what is the area of the square and what is the area of the rectangle? Have a try. What is it? Wow, I see some mistakes. Some students say the first one is 20. Are you sure? What is the question asking you? The area of the square. What is the area? Okay, good job. Well, you can see how do we figure out the area of the square? Yeah, that is side length times side length, okay? 5 times 5, that is 25. And then for the second one, how can we figure out the area of a rectangle? That is the length times breadth. So we have 15 times 2. The answer should be 30. Okay, I see. Okay, least mistake. 20, 30? No, that is 25, 30. Okay. If it is a 5 times 4, so actually you are looking for the perimeter. It is not the area. Okay, pay attention. Next one, a funny question. Pikaka draws a picture of banana in a square paper with an area of 64 centimeters square. So the side length of the picture is, wow, super easy. Okay, this time I give you only 10 seconds. Okay, let's have a try. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Answer? Okay, good. Very easy, right? So actually, you are looking for the number which multiplied by itself. Then you can get 64. Yes, correct. So the answer is 8. Good job. By the way, do you like this picture? Do you like? Is it pretty? No. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the next part. Well, since you already know that how to calculate the area of a rectangle or square, now let's move on to some irregular shape, okay? Again, actually, I introduced such type before, but I know that some of you are quite new to the live stream. Here, Mark wants to find the area of the figure below. Can you help him figure out a way to calculate? Well, again, this is the L shape. Can we still use the push out method? Can or cannot? Can we still push out? Cannot. Okay, everyone, you cannot change the area. Okay, so here, let's have a look. I'd like to introduce a method that is called a splitting method when you try to figure out the area of an irregular shape. Again, if you have the notebook, please take some notes. Okay, splitting method. Splitting method is for the area. So now, let me show you. Here, cut. Firstly, you can figure out the area of rectangle A on the left side. The length is 7, the width is 3. So what is the area? It should be 7 times 3, that is 21. Then what about the area of rectangle B on the right side? Could you please tell me what is the equation here? Is it still 7 times 3? Is it still 7 times 3? No, what is it? What is it? Okay, good. It should be 4 times 3, right? How do we get 4? Because you can see that in the rectangle, the opposite sides are equal. So here, the top one is 3, then the bottom one must be 3. Altogether, it is 7. 7 minus 3, then you can get 4. Okay, so following this, the area of rectangle B, it is 12. Then following this, we just add these two parts together. 21 plus 12. So the answer should be 33. Yes. But is there any other way to split the figure? Is it the only way? Is it the only way? Of course, no. Of course, no. How do we split? So you see that here, for the first method, I just show you how we cut vertically, right? And of course, you can also cut it horizontally. So actually, you will get the same answer. Now, following this here, I see that some students also got different answer, different methods, right? So here, maybe we can apply subtraction. Why? Let's have a look. This is the second method. We call it as the fill and cut method. Well, firstly, here, we see there is a missing corner, right? So what about if I just fill in the corner first, then I can get a big square. Why is it square? Because you can see the two adjacent sides, they are equal to each other. 7, 7. And then what is the area of the big square? That is 7 times 7. Then you will get 49, right? But do I really have 49 as the area? No. Why? Because you must subtract some parts. So what is the area of the part C here? What is the side length? Okay, so again, according to the characteristics of a rectangle, you will see that this side is 4. And the vertical one, it is also 4, right? So here we can figure out the area of part C. That is 4 times 4, which is 16. And then following this, what should we do? Is it just 49 plus 16? No, because firstly, we get a bigger one, but actually you need to remove the extra one. Remove the extra one, that is to subtract. So here we have 49 and then minus 16. Then the answer is 33. So again, when it comes to the area, there are two methods. Do you still remember the first method? Do you still remember? What is the first method? Already forgot? Just on the previous slide. Splitting method. Good job. And for the second one, that is a fill and a cut method. Okay. And then following this, let's move on to the second example. Here, the plan on the right shows a garden. There is a 2-meter wide path around the edge of the garden with a swimming pool inside the path. Find the area of the path. Okay, so here, everyone think about it. What should we do? What should we do here? Path, where is the path? Yes, look at the figure. It already showed you the path, right? Okay, so firstly, let's try to figure out the bigger one. What is the area of the whole garden? Could you please tell me what is the total area? What is the total area? You don't know? Have a try. You see, according to the figure, the length is 15 and then the breadth is 8. So what should we do? When it comes to the area of a rectangle, what should we do? Good job, okay? That is 15 times 8, which is 120 meters squared. But since the question is only asking you to figure out the area of the path, so what should we do with the swimming pool in the middle? I try to remove that, right? I try to remove it. So here, firstly, you need to figure out the area of the pool. But so far, I have no idea about the length and the width. Let's try one by one. What is the length of the pool? Excellent. So here you try to remove 2 meters from the left side and 2 meters on the right side. So here, what can we get? That is 15 minus 2 times 2. Then the answer should be 11 meters. And for the same method, you can figure out the breadth of the pool. Altogether, it is 8 meters. And then I need to remove 2 meters on the top and also remove 2 meters at the bottom. So what is the breadth of the pool? It should be 4 meters. Now, since you figure out the length and the breadth, then what is the next step? You can just multiply them together to figure out the total area of the pool. 11 times 4, that is 44 meters squared. And then we haven't finished. Yes, we haven't finished. Then what should I do? Correct. And then let's just move on. That is altogether 120. And then you remove the pool. So here, 120 minus 44. This is the answer, which is 76 meters squared. Okay. So you see that what is the logic to solve such question? Firstly, you need to figure out the total. That is a big rectangle. And then I just remove the small rectangle in the middle. So I need to subtract it. Altogether, 120 minus 44. This is the last step. Okay. Yes. Any question here? Is it hard? Easy or hard? Okay, good. Now moving to the third part, that is actually you will see for some questions, they combine the concept of perimeter and the area. So here, let me show you. The perimeter of a square is 44 centimeter. Find its area. Okay, again, I give you 20 seconds. A, B, C, D, E. Type your answer in the chat box. For the answer? Which one? Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 1. Okay, now let's have a look. Firstly, what is the length of the square? Very easy, right? 44 divided by 4, that is 11 centimeter. And then how do we figure out the area? Now you see that. To figure out the area of square, you must know its side length. And we already know that the side length is 11. So what should I do? That is 11 multiplied by its sum. So this is the answer, 121. Yes, very good. So actually, you see that when you try to solve some question involving perimeter and area, what is the most important thing? For the most important thing related to the square, that is to figure out the side length. And what is the most important thing related to rectangle? That is to figure out the length and the breadth. Okay. Now, following this again, let me show you one example. The perimeter of the small rectangle is 12 centimeter. Can you see the small rectangle? Here. This is a small rectangle. Okay, this is a small rectangle. The perimeter of the small rectangle is 12 centimeter. Two of such rectangles can form a square shape. What is the length of the square? Any idea? Yes, any idea? Okay, the first thing that is need to figure out what is the relationship between the length and the breadth in a rectangle. Okay, can you find any relationship here? Yes, actually, the length is twice of the breadth. Why? Because you see that the two of such rectangles can form a square shape. When it comes to a square shape, we know that all these four sides, they must be equal, right? And then actually you see that what's this? This is the length of a rectangle. And what about these two small parts? That is the two breadth of a rectangle. So following this, let's write down the equation. To make a square, all four sides are equal, so we can get length of rectangle is 2 times of breadth. Then following this, what about the perimeter? If I just set it as 1 unit, so actually what is the length of the rectangle? It should be 2 units, right? Then following this, we try to combine. How can we figure out perimeter of one small rectangle? That is a bracket, length plus breadth, and then times 2. So let's simplify them. We can get 6 units equals to 12 centimeter, which means 1 unit is 2 centimeter. And then some students are very happy. Okay, my final answer is 2 centimeter. And then, sorry, you're wrong. Why? Why? Again, what is the length of the square? So you see that when it comes to the length of a square, how many units are there? Is it only 2? Only 2 centimeter? No, good job. So here, back to the question. Length of squares is equal to 2 units. 2 units, that is 2 times 2. So your final answer should be 4 centimeter. Okay, 4 centimeter is the correct one. Yes, understand now? Good. let's practice. Try it by yourself. Okay, this one is a bit tricky, but not that hard. So I give you maybe 30 seconds. Okay, have a try. The perimeter of a rectangular cardboard is 54 centimeter. Its length is twice its breadth. You see, the question is super nice to you. It already tell you the relationship. Find the area of the cardboard. Okay, have a try. What is the answer? Wow, so many different answers. 9, 162, 62, 18. Okay, here, everyone, you only need to input your final answer in the chat box. Yeah, only the final answer, 36. Okay, one more different answer. 168, 72. Okay, two more different answers. 18. Well, let's check together. Well, firstly, according to the information given by the question, we know that the breadth can be set as 1 unit, right? And what about the length? The length is 2 units, right? So following this, how can we figure out 54 centimeter? That is 2 unit plus 1 unit, and then you times 2, then you can get 54, right? Because in a rectangle, you will see that the opposite sides are equal to each other. So here we need to times 2. So when you think backwards, altogether, 6 units, that is 54, or you can get 3 units, that is 54 divided by 2. So anyway, you will figure out the length of 1 unit. What is the 1 unit? 1 unit should be 9 centimeter. But can we say 9 is my final answer? Cannot. Why? Because the question is asking you what is the area. So what should I do? Which part is 9? 1 unit, that is the breadth. And following this, what should I do? You need to figure out the length, right? In order to find the area, you must know the length and the breadth. So here, 9 and 18. Then following this, what should we do? We need to multiply them together. So you can see the answer should be 9 times 18. So actually, it is 162. This is the final answer. Yes, this is the final answer, 162 centimeters square. 126, no. What happened to your calculation? 9 times 18, that is 162. Yes, okay. Let me check for this question. How many of you answered it correctly? Again, you can just share the sum up with your emoji. Yes. How many students answered that correctly? Quite few. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No more? Okay. Do remember that for the word problem, the last thing that is always be back to the question. You need to be super clear about what is the question asking you to do, okay? Yes, just a little bit. Okay, good. So next one, the area of a rectangle is 108 centimeters square, given that its length is thrice its breadth. Find the perimeter of the rectangle. So now you see that in this question, we know the area and we try to figure out the perimeter. Then what should I do? Here, let me show you first. Firstly, let's try to draw out a rectangle and label out the length and the breadth as 3 units and 1 unit respectively. Then following this, what should we do? Here, look. How do we get 108 centimeters square? That is the length times breadth, right? So actually it is 3 units times 1 unit. 3 units times 1 unit, that is 108. So what can we get? Look here. To help you better understand, here I try to split it into different parts because the area is for the space taken out. Here, how can we figure out the area of one small square here? You see that 1 unit times 1 unit, actually it should be 108 divided by 3. So the answer is 36. So which part is 36? That is for one part, the area is 36. One part, the area is 36. And that is 1 unit times 1 unit, which is 36. So what is the value of 1 unit? 1 unit should be 6, right? Okay, and then following this, we can figure out the breadth and the length of the rectangle. For the breadth, it is exactly 1 unit. So here we can just write it as 6. Then what about the length? 3 units. That is 3 times 6, which is 18. Then following this, what should we do? Back to the question. The question is asking you what is the perimeter of the rectangle. So following this, yes, add them up and then times 2. So here we can get 18 plus 6, then times 2, which is 48. Okay. For this question, the most tricky part is here. 1 unit times 1 unit, that is 36, okay? You cannot just say, okay, 1 unit, that is 36. Sorry, wrong. What is the meaning of a unit here? It is for the length. It is for one part. But actually, what are we looking for? We are looking for the area of one part. So here, 36, that is for the area. I see that some students got 72. No, 48. The perimeter of the rectangle is 48 centimeter. Yes. Okay, then last one. Let's practice. It's your turn. The square ABCD below is made up of 2 identical rectangles. The area of one rectangle is 50 centimeters square. Pay attention, the area of one rectangle. So this part should be 50 centimeters square. Okay, and then the question is asking you, what is the length of BC? So actually, the question is asking you, what is the side length of the square ABCD? Okay, again, maybe you can have a try first. If you have the paper, please try to draw out the diagram on your book, okay, on your paper. Yes, I give you some time. Any idea? Any idea? Yes. Firstly, again, pay attention to the relationship between the length and the breadth. Okay, let me show you. In a rectangle, one length that is equal to 2 times of width, right? So here you can just label 1 unit and 2 units. Okay, let me change the color. Here, write it down. This is for 2 units and this is for 1 unit. So what is the area of a rectangle? That is the length multiplied by the width. So here we got 2 unit times 1 unit, then you will get 50 centimeters square. In this way, we can figure out 1 unit times 1 unit, it should be 25 centimeters square, right? So again, everyone, you can try to split the figure, kind of like this. Okay, so here, left side, 1 unit, right side, 1 unit. Then 1 unit times 1 unit, that is 25. So what is the value of 1 unit here? Which number multiplied by itself, then you can get 25? Yes, 1 unit should be 5 centimeter. But can we say that 5 centimeter is my final answer? Cannot. Why? Because the question is asking you the length of BC, right? So actually for BC, how many units are there? Correct, it should be 2 units. So here, this is the final step. 2 units equals to 2 times 5. So the final answer should be 10 centimeter. Yes. Is it easy now? Yes or no? Or very hard? Or a bit hard? Or super easy? Okay, great. This is the final answer, 10 centimeter. Okay. So here, let's have a final summary, okay? Actually, today, we just introduced the formulas. The first one is for the rectangle, how to figure out the perimeter of rectangle. That is the bracket, length plus breadth, and then times 2. And how do we figure out the area of rectangle? That is the length times breadth. Then what about the square? When it comes to a square, the perimeter of square is side length times 4. And for the area of square, that is the side length times side length. Pay attention to the difference between perimeter and the area. Perimeter is for the outline, and for the area, it is for the space, okay? So totally the concepts are different. Yeah. And also here, I'd like to introduce that on 27th May, there will be the second round of our GEP online mock test. So here, everyone, if you are interested, actually, you can just scan the QR code and sign up for the mock test. Again, if you are the current student in Think Academy, you can just join for free. And if you don't have the promotion code, maybe you can check with your master teacher, okay? And also, maybe later you can just PM me and I will share the code with you. Okay? So actually, this is the end, okay? See you, everyone. See you on Friday, okay? Bye-bye.